So, what are some of the most underrated aspects of training and training smarter, in your opinion?
Yeah, so I got a lot for this. I think mobility and then the warm up is super important. I think a lot of people, would- I would even say honestly, athletes more than anybody else neglect mobility tremendously.
Yep.
I mean, I would be lying if I said I didn't neglect it until 2 years ago. Like I was
Hmm.
ankle mobility, hip mobility, shoulder mobility, like all those different kinds of things are very important as an athlete. Like if you want to be able to run faster, your hips got to move better and
Yep.
your ankles got to be able to move.
Yep.
You can look at a bunch of kids, especially over at like I mean I'm over at Granville right now. I think a lot of them have very poor ankle mobility, especially males. Males are, is I think it's females have a better like they're more flexible, they're more mobile than males are. It's just the way their anatomy, like their body works, different things like that. So when you go and like watch a female lift, like you're gonna see it. They're actually too flexible,
Okay.
which is you don't want that. Like you want them to beef up, get a little bit more muscle on them. Versus a male that's like, okay, dude, like you really need to work on your mobility.
Hmm.
And then kind of going into the warm up, how many people do you see go into a gym and then just hop into bench press, maybe swing their arms a little bit, like stretch out, like do like more of a static stretch? That's not warming your body up for anything. That's
Yeah,
just saying
definitely
you're
not.
telling your body, hey man, like let's just loosen up. You don't want your body loose. You want your body tight and ready to roll. Like I mean,
Primed. Yeah.
exactly. You want to prime your body. So I think that's a very big statement that like needs to be like you need to prime your body for whatever movements you have.
Hmm.
So a good way to look at it is like okay, like I got let's say you have an upper body day. Well, I want to prime my upper body then. If I got like a bench press, and then like I got like a bent over row, throwing some push-ups in your warm-up, throwing some medicine ball chest slams into the wall. You can do it in the ground. You can throw a medicine ball. Get your body moving a little bit
Hmm.
more for the movements that you're going to do, right? You want to have a movement that's going to you can do like a full movement that's going to warm up your core body temperature. You want to get a movement that's going to stabilize your shoulders, right? So like a yoga push-up's a great way to stabilize your shoulder joints but also still get you loosened up and ready to roll. Um, those are some of the things that I kind of notice on that side. And I also think training light for, I guess, work on technique.
Hmm.
So I think a lot of people, like, there's two sides of the spectrum. There's the guy that's going to go 10 sets of 10, and then there's going to be the guy that's going to go like 10 sets of one. You can go in the middle and do like a 5 sets of 8, but
Yeah.
focus just on form. Like
Hmm.
there's nothing wrong with going to the gym and saying, I'm not going to max out today or I'm not going to push my body to the limit. I'm just going to go down there and I'm going to work on this. I mean, this could be where you could work on like an ass to grass squat or just work on getting to 90 degrees and then coming back up, but having it perfect every single time, right? So
Hmm.
if you're squatting, like getting your toes in the ground, getting your knees out, you don't want your knees caving in. Work on form. Who cares if you're not going to move a lot of weight? Like
Yep.
at the end of the day, you're going to move a lot better, and you're going to move a lot more weight when you're have better form. And then a lot of the things that I see too, and I think we'll actually talk about this a little bit more into it. I think sleep is another one that's I think super underrated. I mean, I think that's all around collegiately and especially in
Hmm.
high school. Like I'll talk to kids and they'll be like, "Yeah, I got like 4 hours of sleep." I was like, "Then why are you here? Like, there's
Yeah.
no reason for you to come to this weight room if you've had 4 hours of sleep. You're stressed out because of
Yeah.
homework. Like, you're not gonna come
I,
to
I
perform."
remember when I was at NIU, they made us fill out like a sleep chart, and I think if you had less, I think it was like 5 hours, which is still not a lot. If you had less than 5 hours of sleep, like they wouldn't even let you work out.
Yeah, I mean, because you're just gonna put your body at risk. Like,
Yeah.
it's not worth it.
Yeah.
And like, there's so much that happens when you sleep.
Hmm.
Whether it's like your HGH levels are, that's kind of when they're released is when you're sleeping. And so, if you know anything about steroids or anything like that, HGH does help with building muscle. So if your body's naturally producing it while you sleep, if you're smart, you would want to do that. The creator of the vertical diet, Stan, I think it's like Effort Dying or something like that,
Hmm.
he talks a lot about sleep. And he's really a big proponent of sleep that he would much rather, I think he's talking about like skipping meals to even, missing a workout just to sleep. Like he was like, you have to go to sleep. Like he's like 10 hours a day kind of guy.
Okay.
I'm more of like, okay, like if you can get 6, like that's cool. Like 6 is cool. Like, I prefer you to get closer to 8.
Yeah. I'm
But
about 7, 8.
yeah, and it's just like there's so much that happens within your body hormone level wise that like you need sleep. Like sleep's super important. Like a lot of people I think take that for granted or they don't even think about it. They're like, "Oh, it's just sleep. Like I'm just not doing anything." Well, no, stupid. You're doing a lot. Like sleep's a lot. It's super
Right.
important. Um, and then I guess the supplementation side, but not supplementation as in like creatine, protein powders, all that other stuff. I'm talking about like vitamin D, fish oils, and vitamin C. I think they're all super important. I think everybody should take them. I don't care if you're an athlete or not. Like, I think you should take those. Like vitamin D is super important for you, especially here in Michigan or in the Midwest. Like we don't get a lot of sun in the winter. Like our body needs vitamin D for a lot of different things, right? So it keeps your bones stronger. Helps your immune system a little bit, and then like depression and then chronic illnesses. Like there's a lot. Like a lot of our cycles in our body starts with vitamin D. Like there's been a lot of talk about vitamin D becoming more of a hormone than anything because it's that important. So I think vitamin D. I think everybody should be taking vitamin D. Like my parents are taking vitamin D. Anybody I talk to takes vitamin D, and they're like, "Holy cow! Like I know it's a difference." Well, because we need it. Like it's super important.
Yeah.
We get it from the sun, but when the sun's not there, we're inside all the time. Like we're not getting the sun. And then like I talked about fish oils, and then fish oils are super important. So like it helps kind of loosen up our joints, you could say. So we have blood that circulates, kind of like goes around our joints.
Yeah, I definitely need that. Definitely need that.
Yeah, and so as an athlete or anybody in general, sometimes people get kind of like that, like clumps, and it's not just moving like smoothly. So we want to improve that. So it helps with your joints, and then it also helps with like our omega-3 to omega-6 fatty acid. Kind of that ratio. Everybody's super heavy. Not a lot of people eat a lot of fish. A lot of times they're eating like the avocados and like cheese, or eating more, of one style. And then so like having those fish oils is going to help kind of even out that ratio, which will make you feel better. And then I talked about vitamin C. Vitamin C is just good, in my opinion, for immune system health. Like if you want to, I guess, prevent being sick. I mean, obviously can't stop you from being sick. You might still get sick, but helps with your immune system and kind of like fighting everything off, and even into like your cardiovascular health, and then a little bit into your cortisol regulation, which is super important for shutting off your cortisol levels. And then you want to increase your insulin levels, which is going to help absorb nutrients for like after a workout, or kind of just calm your body down a little bit. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope people were locked into that because that was a
That
lot of good information. I definitely learned some stuff there too. I'm pretty into like supplementation, just like the whey, the creatine, the pre-workout, but I definitely could definitely up my intake in like the vitamins, and that's something I should probably get into, take better care of my body. But yeah, pretty much everything you said just kind of took the words right out of my mouth. Sleep, nutrition, hydration, it's what our coach preaches. It's super simple, but a lot of guys don't really get it down, and
100%.
that's something you got to do if you want to have your body performing at the optimal level at all times. And the one thing I would really add for underrated aspects is, yeah, you said it took you a little while to get into like the mobility, the warm up, but luckily from a young age, I think sophomore year, I started training at this place in Batavia, the best facility I've ever been to, ProForce. And yeah, Batavia, owned by Chris Browning. Shout out Chris Browning, really helped me get to where I am today, and I wouldn't be where I am today without him. And he always emphasized just the warm up, just taking, like he would take like sometimes, I thought it was like too long. Sometimes it'd be like 20, 30 minutes. But my body, like going into that first workout, whatever it may be, it was always feeling like phenomenal before like a squat or anything. I can literally feel my muscles, like it's like a warm, feeling.
Yeah.
So that's when I would know. And he really emphasized the warm up, the mobility, everything. So that from a young age, I was super big on the warm up, but I tried to make sure I take at least 15 minutes every day. That really just when it seems like I'm working out for so long, like I am working out, I'm putting in the work, but it's just like that warm mobility, just because I know how important that is.
Yeah.
And yeah, ankle mobility is huge. I've hurt my ankle a couple times, but even if I didn't, I would say I would still be doing it just because it'll make you run faster because you can get your ankle at a steeper angle, which allows you to run faster. And one thing I would add that you didn't is I'm really big on single leg and arm movements for athletes.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of your movements that you're going to play, like when you're on, that you're going to perform when you're on the field, are going to be single leg. It's not always going to be just like a bench press. You're not going to have two hands on somebody. You're going to have one. You're going to be pushing off one leg, using one arm to do this. So I think being balanced throughout all your extremities is really big.
100%. I think even for anybody, like training single leg unilateral movements are important. You need it, you know.
Huge.
Thank you for tuning into Betting the Edge. Make sure to tune into the full episode, subscribe to the channel, as well as subscribe and rate 5 stars on the Betting the Edge podcast. Available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts.